For nearly 2 decades, one question has refused to fade. Who killed rap star Tupac Shakur? It stands as one of the most infamous murders in Las Vegas history. Despite dozens of witnesses and multiple investigations, the case remains unsolved. Investigators were told by several informants that the white Cadillac used in the shooting had been rented. Even with that lead, police were never able to locate the vehicle. We reached out to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, but they declined to comment, stating that the investigation into Tupac Shakur's death is still ongoing. Greg Kading, the former LAPD officer we spoke with, has since published a book and released a documentary detailing his findings. However, his role in the case became controversial after an internal review concluded that he had altered witness statements, leading to his removal from the investigation. Let's get straight to it. What exactly was your relationship with Darren Dupree and Greg Kading? What do you mean? They showed up at my door the same day they arrested Teresa Swan, knocked on my door and said, "We've been watching you for a year or two." Good thing I wasn't into that weed stuff at the time. They told me, "Look who we've got in the back seat. We need to talk." I told them straight, I don't speak to police without an attorney. They said, "Fine, we'll get your attorney." But in the end, you still talk to them. Did you have your attorney? Yeah. Once I found out they had contacted my attorney, I hadn't even spoken to him yet. They sent him what they call a Queen for a Day letter and all that, saying they wanted to talk to me. So we set a date, and I'm sitting there thinking, what do they even want to talk about? To be honest, I thought it was about some tax stuff, things I had done with Shug and money issues. That's what I expected. But then they start talking about Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls? I'm thinking, I don't need no attorney for that. I'm not about to pay $10,000 for something like that. And that's where it went. So the only thing they wanted to talk to you about was Biggie Smalls? That's it. That's all they wanted to talk about. Because LAPD wasn't even handling the Tupac case. That wasn't their focus. KPD is the one that threw a wrench into everything when they started bringing up Tupac. They were trying to get out of that $400 million lawsuit with LAPD. That's the real reason. Wait, seriously? Yeah, of course. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about Tupac. I'll keep it real. I'll be the first to say it. If Keefe D had just kept his mouth shut, he wouldn't have been arrested for what he got arrested for. But he's the one who kept talking about all this. Don't you think it's suspicious, very suspicious, that after Biggie's shooting, your father admitted he called LAPD while he was in Compton? Which one are you talking about? After Biggie got shot, your father admitted he called LAPD from Compton. You know how that looks, right? I mean, they all communicate. Detectives all know each other, especially in that circle. I don't know exactly why he called LAPD, but they stay in contact, going back and forth between LA and Compton, sharing information. People need to understand this. I honestly believe, and I'll stand on that with everything I love, I truly believe Keefe D and them did Biggie Smalls. That's what I believed until I got a phone call, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I've already told you, I don't really speak on the Biggie Smalls situation, but that's what I believed. I even said it in an interview back in 1998 on Vibe. So what you're saying is you're denying ever meeting David Mack. I've never met David Mack or Rafael Perez in my life. Never. Do you know if Kevin Gaines knew Rafael Perez and David Mack? Apparently, yeah, I think they did, but I don't know that for a fact. But Sharifa knew David Mack and Rafael Perez. What? She said it herself in an interview with me. She said some LAPD officers worked at Snoop's birthday party, or somebody's birthday party. She wasn't completely sure if they were the same ones, but she said Kevin hired about 4 or 5 of his friends to work security at a Snoop event. So basically, they could have outsourced it. And that was before Right Way even came into the picture. So what you're saying is they were trying to remove liability. If they didn't work for Right Way, then they didn't work for Right Way. It's that simple. They've got all my payroll records, everything. They subpoenaed ADP and all of that. There's no record of any of them working for me. The only 2 LAPD officers connected to me were David Love and Rich McCollum. Think about it. If I was going to have somebody do something dirty, you think I'd set it up like that? All right, but we're talking about working a birthday party back then and then something happening 3 years later. That's different, right? But look, if Sharitha was involved with Kevin, then she made that choice. That's on her. She violated for that. And Kevin Gaines being in contact with all this, let me ask you something. Do you really think Suge is the type of man who would have someone messing with his wife or ex-wife and still keep that person around, working with him, making money, moving like that? Do you really see Suge as that kind of person? Suge is a player, yeah, but he's not going to let something like that slide. He's not going to have a cop involved like that and still keep him around doing business. I can't say exactly what he would or wouldn't do in every situation, but what I do know is this. So you're asking if I was messing with that from 12 years ago? That's not true, man. Listen. Oh, so now you're saying Sharitha and Kevin could have hidden it. That's because you don't know the full story. There you go. That's what happens when you don't know everything. What are you here for? The story. And I'm pretty sure Valentino heard it too, when Sharitha said that one time she was at an event in Vegas and Suge pulled up behind them while she was in the car with Kevin. He started talking reckless, and right there she told him, "This is a cop situation. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that." Now, those rumors, the ones people keep repeating, that they took them out to the desert, stripped them, and all that, come on. So you're saying that didn't happen? The desert part? No. If we're going by what Sharitha actually said, the question is, are you going to believe her story? There's always problems. Then people start bringing up Kevin G, Buffalo, all that. I know where you're coming from, but that's not it. They're trying to say there are pictures, check forms, records, paper trails. No, never. None of that. Nightlife, records, none of it. Because if that was real, it would have taken all of us down. There's a lot I know, but I'm not that kind of person. They're lying, straight up. Think about it. Why would I create a paper trail for something I was keeping completely hidden? Exactly. If I'm keeping someone in the shadows, why would I risk leaving records behind? And honestly, I don't even think he was the one working those events. He had his friends do it. They were paid in cash by Snoop. There's no reason for any paperwork. Not over $10,000. That story is made up. Anything else? Not that I know of, unless it ties into something completely separate. And even then, it would have come later, and it wouldn't have gone to them. If anything, it would have come from my personal account. And on top of that, I was with Canron and them. They wouldn't have issued a check anyway. So no, that never happened. I'm wondering, was Ken Truck or Ken paying him? Didn't we hear something about that? No, they weren't paying him. You're digging way too deep. He wasn't even like that. Trust me. And first of all, we had already been broken up for a whole year, and nobody even knew that. Okay, then where are they getting all this from? I don't know. They're lying. Tell them to show it. Yeah, tell them, show it to me. They're saying they have checks? Then show them. Not some fake stuff with somebody forging my name like they've been doing. No, this was supposed to be from Death Row. First of all, how would Death Row even have a reason to cut him a check? For what? They think he was working for Suge. That's a lie. All of it. They're just fishing. They're going too far with it now. There's nothing there. No story, no proof. Just wait, you'll see. They're putting me in a book, maybe even a movie, so stand by for that. That whole City of Lies narrative I've been telling you about? Russell Poole and those guys trying to piece together a story. It sounds good, that's all it is. It's no different than what they did with